Hello, and welcome back to another episode. Indeed, welcome to a bright, shiny new year filled with bright, shiny, new, exciting possibilities. And another national lockdown. Anyway, no, in all seriousness, there is cause to celebrate a new year. There is a new world of possibilities out there. And I wanted to start 2021 with a story about a recent experience I had on Facebook Marketplace. You see, in the past couple of months, I've been getting into Facebook Marketplace in quite a big way. I've been buying slightly rubbishy paintings from local sellers and modifying them with eldritch horrors. Putting monsters and tentacles and things into paintings. And sometimes rescuing, actually, the painting from itself. You know, there's one in particular, a sort of snowscape, where the relationship between the tree on the left, the house on the right, and the mountain in the middle, in the background, just wasn't quite right. The scale was off. But by putting in your own elements into the painting, you sort of bring it together, you tie it together, and actually improve the painting. In my humble opinion, anyway, it becomes something that makes a bit more visual and spatial sense. So it's not only fun and a great way of passing the time when you can't visit friends and family and go where you want to go in the world, or even go for a nice long drive or a weekend away. But it's also just entertaining to repurpose these slightly Bob Ross paintings. So yes, I've been having great fun on Facebook Marketplace. And then a couple of weeks ago, I got my hands on Star Wars Squadrons. Squadrons is a wonderful flight sim space combat game in the vein of sort of Rogue Squadron-ish. Probably my favourite launch title on the GameCube. I have very, very, very fond memories of playing that. In fact, frankly, I still play it now on the GameCube. Before then, I used to play Rogue Squadron 1, its precursor, on the N64. And so the opportunity to play a Star Wars flight simulator with modern graphics came up on the PC on the Epic Store, where it was being sold for like £20 or something, £21 or whatever. And I had a £10 voucher, so I got it for like £11, I think £10.99. And this was brilliant, wonderful. I was playing with my PC controller. It's like an Xbox One, a USB controller. And the thing is, knowing that this game is designed for VR, I couldn't help but think about the ways that the PC could augment my experience. It was grand, it was fun, it was okay, but it was a little bit separated as well, which is one of the sticks on the controller did up, down, left and right, as it were. I've forgotten what it is. I'm not going to try and remember what the terminology is. But then the other one did, if you did right and left on it, it would do your barrel roll. Or maybe it was up and down, barrel roll, and left and right was on the... Anyway, the point being, it was all separated. Instead of being one stick, it was two sticks that slightly artificially separated the experience in a way that didn't feel so odd on a console. But in this game, presumably because of the way it's designed, it did feel a bit odd. So I thought, well, I'm not going to get a VR headset anytime soon, but I could on this PC, which I'm still very much amazed by every day. I could get hold of a joystick. And so I went looking. And all of the local electric stores, Curry's PC World, Argos, others, didn't have... Either they didn't have them, they didn't sell them, like Smiths, for example, sell lots of PC gaming accessories but don't do joysticks, or they were sold out. And I think this is partly because of the popularity of Flight Simulator. It's not only been released and updated fairly recently, but also I think during a pandemic, the idea of being able to simulate flying around the world has been irresistible to lots of people. And so the joysticks are just nowhere really to be found. Even the expensive ones, even if you go up to like £300 or something, they're just not in store. And if they are orderable, they cost way more than I was willing to spend on initially just seeing what it felt like to play the game with a joystick. And so it wasn't long before I thought, let's check Facebook Marketplace. And there were a couple of people locally selling joysticks. One of them was an okay joystick, based on my research that I'd done, but it was wireless, but it came without the receiver. So I guess maybe it was good for parts, possibly, but it wasn't going to work for my purposes. Well, it wasn't going to work. Full stop. There was another one that was like 100 miles away. That I wasn't going to travel 100 miles to get a joystick, not during a pandemic. And then there was another one, a third one that was intriguing. It was listed as, I think it was solid or good joystick or something like that. It was £15, which is pretty good price considering that you can get a £17.99 one from Argos or PC World when it's in stock, but the reviews are terrible for it. So, but this one, £15, meant to be quite a solid model. I asked the proper questions. I did my due diligence. I sort of said, does this connect via USB? And the answer came back, yes. Yes, it does. And then I said, does this run on Windows 10? And the answer came back, yes. Yes, it does. And so I went off and I bought it, and I was very excited. They lived just around the corner. They live on a roundabout next to a funeral director's. So I sort of went to their house, knocked on the door, mask on, all that kind of thing, and was handed a bag with a box inside that was very exciting looking. It was for the Sidewinder 2. Ironically enough, it was for this controller here, the box was. And I was like, oh, fantastic, superb, thank you, grand. Went back to the car, opened up the box, because the box was not for the controller that I'd seen in the photograph. And inside the box was the controller I had seen in the photograph. I was immediately disappointed, because the controller was this controller. The Microsoft Sidewinder 3D Pro. And this controller is a classic. In its day, it was cutting edge. I've been led to understand again through my research. But as you can see, this is not a USB port. This is what I quickly found out through Googling is a game port, which is kind of before my time when it comes to PC gaming. I was a console gamer in my teens, and even the best PCs at the time, as far as I could tell, didn't necessarily have access to things like game ports. Maybe, well, no, they would do, but the ones that I had access to didn't. So I was using mouse and keyboard for gaming. But apparently at the time there was something called a game port, and this is what it looks like. A bit like a VGA input, but wider. And I was like, this isn't USB, and I don't think this is going to run on Windows 10. So I sent the seller a picture. I said, "Are there any parts missing? Because this is the connector. Are you sure it connects via USB?" And she said, "Yes, that's USB." She was a lovely little old lady, clearly selling on the controller for, they had been in her house for ages and had been her sons or something, or her daughters, and the box that it came in, to her credit, did say USB on the side of it. It's just that this is not obviously a USB compatible controller, and while it's a little piece of history, gaming history, that I'll probably sell on at some point, or if I can sell on to someone who might appreciate it, it wasn't going to work. So I kind of gave up. This was on, I think, the 23rd, 24th of December, so just before Christmas. And I thought, just leave it, Mark. Leave it alone. Just enjoy Christmas. There's no need to go looking for a controller. Just let it go. Let it go. Christmas came and went, and I had a lovely time. And I had almost forgotten about the search for a joystick when suddenly Facebook Marketplace recommended a new listing. It was a listing for this controller, the Sidewinder Precision 2, or Sidewinder 2 Precision? Sidewinder Precision 2 joystick, which, interestingly enough, is the joystick whose box this joystick came in. So it was a strange thing to see this one on a listing. I wasn't sure if the original seller was taking the mick, you know. But it was from a different seller down in County Durham, so about 15 miles away, and it was only £10. And I thought, well. So I made an inquiry with the view to maybe getting it in the new year, and the guy said yes, it's available, but he can't quite find it just yet. I was like, well, how did you take a photo? He's like, well, it's an old photo, but he would dig it out, and I could have it if I wanted. And I thought, well, for a tenner, it could be worth it. But also, knowing that this is only one generation on from that controller, I was wondering, is this even going to work on Windows 10? So I went looking on the forums, and there's been lots of back and forth on the Microsoft forums as to whether or not this controller would work, getting the right drivers, getting the driver to work with the PC, so on and so forth. And it wasn't until the morning of New Year's Eve that I came across a forum listing that said, it basically was like, it was the latest post, and it was underscored, you know, and saying, great news, vintage joysticks are back, because there'd been a big update in terms of compatible drivers for Windows 10. They brought a whole host of really solid retro joysticks back into use for the latest version of Windows, and this was one of them. So I got in touch with the guy again and said, have you found it yet? Can I have it? And he had found it. So I turned up 3 o'clock-ish on New Year's Eve to get hold of the Sidewinder 2. And it was glorious, just glorious to get home and play Squadrons. Now, of course, you saw one of my first experiences playing that game on the live stream. Probably the second time I started the game is what could be. First of all, I had to test the thing, so I tested it, and then I immediately stopped halfway through the first mission, and then started live streaming later on that day, and it was amazing. And the thing I found most enjoyable about it is, you know, you see, you've got the slider for speed, which in a fuller joystick setup you'd have a separate handle for throttle, but in this instance, there's a little throttle slider, and you got extra buttons here, which is quite cool, you know, quite good for controlling different aspects. So, you know, find a new target, this kind of thing. I think let's see, shields is 8, shield distribution, this just great. You've got missiles, number 4, fix the just deploy your astromech droid to fix the ship on that button. Lock on the number 2 thumbstick, that's really satisfying too. This is a great little menu button, and also for controlling the energy distribution within the ship, and of course a nice solid fire button as well. I love the sense of control. The weight of the controller is magnificent. But my favourite aspect of this, and this is something which was actually on the original as well, is the twisting to do a barrel roll. So you can actually twist the controller, and you will turn in that sort of way, that plane, and the same is here as well. So I'll just sort of do it a bit more. There you go. So you can sort of see in relation to the base how you can, and you'll do a barrel roll as you're. So you can sort of twist and move forward, twist and move back, and it's a beautiful way to control a spaceship or an aircraft, I dare say. And it only costs £10. So there you have it, a little Facebook Marketplace story. And it was a bit of a punt, given that I'd never used a joystick before, but I had an inkling that I'd really enjoy playing Squadrons with a flight stick or a joystick, and to be able to find it for eventually £10, or a total of 25 if you count the failed purchase, that's well worth it, considering that a decent joystick costs at least 40, 50, if not £80. It's worth a shot. It's a bit like, you know, old post office notes on the notice board, or, you know, the shop window or supermarket notice board, this kind of thing. That way of selling and buying. And I think with some careful questions and with the right, the right little sprinkling of luck, you can find just what you're looking for in a relatively local area. So I would recommend it. But yeah, definitely be careful, because sometimes people just don't know what they're talking about. Thank you for watching, guys. As ever, until next time, do take care. Bye bye.